with respects to progression, at what point might you increase load? And I think this is an important subject. Like, at what point will you say, okay, you know what, I think I'm ready for a little bit more load? And then how much might you add on something like, let's say, a machine or a dumbbell? Would it be the minimal amount that's available, or like, how would you do things now?
Whenever I want to try and do something, first of all, I have to set a goal. I have to understand what my end point is. And then I have to set a time frame with what that end point is and how I'm going to get there. And then you have to try and plan an incremental jump in order to reach that goal. So, I mean, with anything, when you're lifting, usually when you get over to the 8, 9, when you're getting into the double figures, you're thinking this could increase. I'm repping out double figures, that can go up. What it can go up, I suppose it depends on what exercise you're doing. The smaller the body part, the smaller the increment. If you're doing a squat and you put 1Ks on either side, it really isn't going to touch the sides. So I'd probably go up, 5, 10K or whatever. I've still got a couple of goals I haven't achieved yet, and I still want to hit those goals that I've never done. So
talk about it.
Okay. So, as I said, I was always strong. So one of the things I used to do was 90 kilo dips. And I thought, one day I've always wanted to do the 100 kilo dip for 6 reps. That's what I want. So
added 100 kg added
on top.
Yeah. Gotcha. So like a dumbbell or...
I usually get plates and put it around the belt.
Gotcha.
Plates and a belt.
Okay.
So I'm getting back up there, started off last year. Last year I was up to 20 kilos. I wasn't really pushing myself. And then something happened. My training partner came back. My old training partner came back, and we've constantly just doing this, and it's gradually going up, and now we're back up to like 60 kilo dips. So it's going back up. So, and that's the thing, it's just setting those goals again.
And you mentioned a few other ones. What are the other specifics? I
want to get to the end of the rack on the incline dumbbells. So they're up to about 50K incline dumbbells.
So not 70 this time.
The gym doesn't go that high.
Okay.
I've moved to a gym specifically that doesn't have 70 kilo dumbbells.
Gotcha. But if they did, would you go back? Would you return to the dark era of the 70 kg incline dumbbell press?
I don't know. I've definitely got a diminished strength from my right shoulder, so I don't think I could. Think I could.
But even if you could, would you want to? I think that's more of the smarter question to ask at this point.
It's quite.
Unless you do something a little different, like maybe the form might be a little different. I don't know. Sometimes when you're really wide out versus maybe more tucked in, little things like that. But we already kind of touched on it. Like at that time, you felt that it was just too much load for your current state of ability. That doesn't mean you might have never been able to get there, right?
I think I've changed the biomechanics on all of my lifts.
Right.
So as long as I incorporated the same lifting techniques that I'm currently doing, then I would feel a lot more safe around what I'm doing.
Okay. Interesting. So that's important to note. And if the right progression is kind of like, oftentimes people will rush progression too. Like they're like, okay, let's add, I don't know, they'll go from like the 30 kg right to the 40. It's like, hey man, what about the 32, the 34, the 30? Like there's so much in between. I'm not saying, by the way, Lee, obviously I'm not saying you did this. I'm just saying for the listeners, that's something that, I think people get caught up in because they want to rush the progression of load, right?
Progression is progression, however you measure it. Whether it's a rep or 1 kilo, it's still a progression, and you've got to give yourself that little win. Don't judge yourself against the guy next year. As long as you're beating you of yesterday, then job done. Just you really got to take your time sometimes.
You were talking 70 kg incline presses, like obviously that's very nice for the ego, and you think, wow, I'm very strong, like I could do this, until something goes snap, right? Speak to that, because how often are bodybuilders getting injured, not just from an intensity thing, but just an execution thing? Like that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people get injured, right?